Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Blame It on the Stars. We spill all the tea on what's going on in the universe so you can blame your problems on the stars. It is Jade here.
And it's Kara.
And this week, we've got the full moon in Aries. Another planet also ends its retrograde. We'll tell you which one in just a bit. But in case you missed it, some good things happened last week. Venus entered its home sign of Libra and Mercury retrograde ended. So we are in for a good week. We've got less planets in retrograde this week too. And I think you'll be happy to know about that, you know?
And just to give you a heads up, next week, Mercury will enter Libra again. This time, no retrograde. Things will be on track. It will be very exciting. So don't forget to listen again next Monday.
And if you want to know how to plan for this full moon in Aries and what you should expect this week, then stick around after the short ad break for us to tell you. So the first thing you need to know that happens this week is Pluto and its retrograde. Pluto will station direct in Capricorn. This happens on October 8th at 5:55 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Per usual, the date and time are from the website astroseek.com. What you need to know: our healing and transforming is all back on track. So Pluto, in case you did not know, is retrograde for 6 months out of the year. It's been retrograde for a while, and we're about to have another 6 months without this Pluto retrograde. Since Pluto can deal with healing and transformation and retrograde is over, things are getting back on track.
Because Pluto retrograde happens for about half of the year, you might not feel a big shift or change. Again, this is an outer planet transit that's happening and affecting all of us on a collective and societal level. So again, it might be subtle in your everyday life, but definitely still pay attention to it if you are familiar with your own chart, what house is ruled by Capricorn in your chart, because that's where the retrograde happened.
Yeah, and so how this will show up is, since Pluto is all about transformation and it's been in the sign of Capricorn for a very long time, it has been bringing changes to things that are related to Capricorn, such as the workplace or relationship with authority. So you can start to see those things maybe progress again if you've been struggling in those departments of your life. Why does this matter? I know that everyone has been really hyping up the fact that there was semi-recently 6 planets in retrograde. Now that Mercury retrograde ended, Pluto retrograde's about to end. We're now down to 4 planets in retrograde. Overall, I think the way that this might show up in your personal life might be that it's a lot easier to heal and to grow and move forward. So that's pretty much the rundown on that. The most important thing that happens this week is this full moon in Aries. That happens on October 9th at 4:54 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So what you need to know about this full moon. Full moons in general are times of releasing, and we look to the sign that is in question to see what we're releasing, so we can bring in more energy in the sun sign season we're in. So in this case, since it's Libra versus Aries, we are releasing, if we're thinking of Aries, dealing with the self, a sense of like hyper individualism, so that we can make room for relying on others, being around others, getting help from others, which is the Libra side of things.
Yeah, it's definitely important to be independent and willing to do things on your own if you can, but also it's important to know when to ask for help and when to rely on others. So if you have been feeling like you're taking on a lot or you've just been kind of keeping to yourself, this full moon in Aries is a great time to kind of let go of that, let go of the need to always be doing things on your own and have to be independent and self-sufficient all the time, and to accept that, you know, everyone needs help sometimes.
Yeah. And another thing to know about this is, since Aries is ruled by Mars, which is the planet of anger, if you've been holding on to anger for too long, this could be a good time to practice letting go of that, or even finding a good healthy outlet for frustration. If you've been looking into getting into any fitness routines, like where you can physically let out your energy, this could be a good opportunity to do so that we can bring some balance and harmony back into your life.
Another thing to know is that this full moon is happening at 16 degrees Aries, so you might want to see where that is in your own chart. Also, we will go into more detail after this, but there are a lot of positive aspects to this full moon.
Yeah, it'll make this full moon feel a lot easier compared to some of the other full moons where it's like, okay, we're releasing, but it feels difficult, it feels tough, we're emotional, it feels challenging. The positive aspects, which we will talk about in just a minute, do help this full moon feel like a good time of closure. Now, another thing I do want to mention, and this is going to sound a little strange, but bear with me. If we think about Aries being very bold and dealing with the self, that type of energy, and full moons highlight when we're out of balance, when we need to let go of being on one side so we can bring in more of the other side and realign ourselves. Disclaimer, it's very important that you prioritize yourself, but we don't want to be too all about me, myself, what I want, what I need, that we forget that there are other people in our lives. And I think sometimes in the way that the world is, which promotes a very individualistic society, it's very easy to do what you want and never consider the other person's opinion. Libra energy is all about being social and relating to others. So if you find that you're falling too far in the it's only all about me and all about what I want, find ways to bring balance back into your life in that regard.
Yeah. Related to that, I read something recently about how a lot of people say things like fill your cup first, like make sure that you are taking care of yourself before you are giving to others so that you're not burnt out, etc. And that's definitely true, but there's also a lot of research on the impact of helping others and spending time with others and being social and supportive, and that can also be very rewarding. So if that is something that resonates with you, this full moon in Aries could be a great time to set your intentions on letting go of the need to always do things on your own or by yourself, and to be able to accept help from others and to be willing to reach out and do things with others.
Let's talk about who is going to feel this full moon the most. Aries might find that they're very emotional this day because the moon will be conjunct their Aries placement, emphasizing the feelings of being an Aries and what that experience is like. You might notice that your Aries energy is very high that day, so just take note of that. Libras will also feel this pretty strongly since the moon will be opposite their Libra placement. The Libra energy will feel the imbalance pretty strong due to that opposition. So Libras need to work on finding balance during this full moon and equalizing the two different energies.
And then Cancers and Capricorns, you both will have this full moon square your placements, and squares bring about tension. So you might feel like this is a challenging full moon, but it also can be very activating. So there might be a lot going on.
Yeah, another thing too for Cancer and Capricorns is that this full moon is activating a T-square to your chart, especially if you have placements around 16 degrees. So with that being said, you might find that you're being pushed in many different directions, but also like might feel very motivated to start things since your cardinal energy is being really amplified here. Let's get into some of the details of this full moon because, like we said, they're pretty positive. The first one is that the sun is conjunct Venus during this time and the moon is opposite Venus, which is highlighting relationships in our lives, all kinds of relationships, whether that be with friends, family, coworkers. This might be a time where you want to connect with others and also evaluate the relationships that you have in your life as well.
This full moon is also trine Mars, and Mars is a separating energy. So this is really supporting our ability to release and move on. Having some type of physical outlet, whether that is going to the gym or just going for a casual walk, being able to physically release that energy can be really beneficial.
And then lastly, too, this full moon does have aspects to Saturn, which is all about longevity here. So you might find that it's easy to think long term about like, what do I need to let go of so my long-term vision can come to fruition. And also too, you'll find that the effects of this full moon might feel like they're lasting a little bit longer. You might be taking things seriously, enforcing boundaries this day. We like positive aspects to Saturn. But other than that, that's pretty much it for the full moon. If you're curious to know more about how this full moon in Aries affects you, or honestly any of the other things that just went down in Libra season, whether that be Venus in Libra, the end of Mercury retrograde, etc., we do offer readings. Readings are hosted on an app called Intro. They allow for FaceTime style calls. So you just pick whether you want the reading with me, Jade, or Kara, and for how long you would like the reading to be. We have intervals for as short as 15 minutes to as long as an hour. And in the reading, you can pretty much write any question you want us to answer, astrology related, of course, and we'll be able to take a look at your chart, get those answers for you, and have a discussion face to face on the phone.
And if you've never booked a reading with us before, then you can use the code STARS, all caps, STARS, for $20 off your first reading.
And next week, as a reminder, Mercury will re-enter Libra, bringing some changes back into our communication. There's a lot of key dates to be on the lookout for with Mercury and Libra, so definitely stay tuned for next week where we go into detail about everything you need to know about that. But if you want to stay in the loop with us and everything that comes in the astrology, then make sure you're following us on social media. We're on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at BLME The Stars. We're also on YouTube, posting YouTube shorts as well as this podcast. If you search Blame It on the Stars podcast there, we would love it if you could subscribe. But anyways, that's all for now, and we'll see you all next Monday. Bye.